Have you ever felt the rush of applause? That moment when people cheer your name and you feel 10 feet tall? The praise feels good, like a warm blanket on a cold day. We all crave recognition, to be seen and valued. But what happens when applause becomes our only goal? When we live for the cheers, we let others control our happiness. We start performing for approval, not living with purpose. The need for constant praise is a trap, disguised as a reward. It can turn a confident heart into a fearful one, always desperate for more. Living for applause is like building your house on sand, strong when the sun shines, but crumbling when storms come. When the applause fades, we're left feeling empty and alone, scrambling to win back favor. This cycle is exhausting and never truly satisfying. It's a struggle as old as time, people longing for acceptance, fearing rejection. Even mighty kings and warriors in the Bible fell into this trap. Their stories warn us. Applause is a pleasant gift, but a terrible foundation. There's a better way to live, a more solid foundation for our lives. Let's explore what that looks like. Consider King Saul, Israel's first king. He started humble, but soon the cheers of the people mattered more than God's voice. When faced with pressure, Saul chose public approval over obedience. He offered a sacrifice meant only for priests, just to look strong before his people. That choice marked the beginning of his downfall. Saul became obsessed with his image, especially when David's victories outshined his own. The people's praise for David drove Saul into jealousy and rage. He couldn't stand anyone else getting more applause. Saul's need for approval poisoned his leadership and led to his ruin. He lost his kingdom, his family, and his connection to God, all for the fleeting praise of people. His story is a warning. Chasing applause can cost you everything. Saul wanted to be a king in the eyes of people, not a servant in the eyes of God. The crown became a burden, held up by the fickle hands of the crowd. When applause is your foundation, you're always at risk of losing it all. Saul's life shows us the danger of living for the crowd. Approval fades, but the consequences last. There's a better way to lead and live. Now, let's talk about Samson. He had supernatural strength and was a national hero. People cheered for him, and he loved the attention. But Samson's real weakness was his heart. He craved praise and flattery, especially from those who didn't have his best interests at heart. Delilah used his need for approval to betray him. Samson traded his secret and his strength for fleeting affection. When the applause stopped, he was left powerless and alone. Even the strongest can fall when they make human approval their idol. Samson's story warns us, physical strength can't protect a heart desperate for applause. The need for validation can blind us to danger. True strength comes from purpose, not popularity. Don't trade your calling for applause. Now, let's look at Jesus, a different kind of king. He performed miracles and drew crowds, but he never lived for their praise. Jesus knew how quickly cheers could turn to condemnation. He lived for an audience of one. His Father in heaven. Every action and word was guided by, "What does my Father want?" He often withdrew from crowds to pray, seeking God's voice above all. When tempted with worldly glory, Jesus refused, choosing obedience over applause. He spoke hard truths, even when it meant losing followers. At the cross, the crowd mocked him, but he stayed focused on his mission. Jesus prayed for his enemies, showing love even in rejection. He completed his purpose not for human praise, but out of love for God and us. Jesus shows us the power of living for approval that truly lasts. His life was anchored in God's love, not public opinion. He invites us to do the same. The world's applause fades, but God's approval endures. Live for the audience of one. Today, our stage is digital, social media. Likes, hearts, and follows are the new applause. Each notification feels like approval, but it's addictive and fleeting. We start measuring our worth by numbers on a screen. We compare our lives to others' highlight reels, fueling envy and insecurity. We become performers, curating our lives for an online audience. Like Saul, we get jealous. Like Samson, we become vulnerable, sharing too much for validation. We may even change who we are just to fit in. But digital applause is hollow. It's built on image, not reality. 1,000 likes can't fill the need to be truly known and loved. The more we chase online approval, the emptier we feel. Real worth isn't found in digital applause. It's found in being known and loved for who we truly are. Applause is like an echo. Loud for a moment, then gone. The praise of people is temporary. Today's hero is tomorrow's memory. Saul chased the echo of applause and lost himself in the process. When the cheering stopped, he was left with fear and emptiness. Living for the crowd's approval leads to anxiety and loneliness. In contrast, God's voice is steady and everlasting. It doesn't change with your performance or popularity. God's love says, "You are my child. I love you." This was the voice Jesus listened to, his anchor through cheers and jeers. We all face a choice: chase the fading echo of applause, or tune our hearts to God's unchanging love. One path leads to emptiness, the other to peace and belonging. The world's applause will always fade. God's voice never does. Build your life on the love that remains. That's the foundation that lasts. How do we break free from the trap of applause? By finding our worth in the hands of our Maker, not the crowd. You are not a performance to be judged, but a masterpiece created by God. Your value was set before you ever heard applause. Like a painting's worth comes from its artist, your worth comes from your Creator. God knows you, loves you, and calls you His own. Spend less time listening to the world's noise, more time hearing God's quiet truth. Unplug from the performance, put down your phone, seek God in prayer and His Word. Remember, you are loved for who you are, not what you do. Let go of the need for human approval. Build your life on God's unchanging love, not public opinion. The world's applause is fleeting, but God's love never runs dry. You are already special in God's eyes, and His opinion is the only one that matters.